Well, let's move on to some other stories now, and let's go to our topic for today, where the Central Bank of Nigeria has announced a review on the transaction fees for automated teller machines. Well, the Apex Bank, in a circular signed by the Acting Director of Financial Policy and Regulation Department, Mr. John Onoja, addressed this to all banks and financial institutions. He said the revised charges would take effect from the 1st of March. According to the acting director, the move is part of efforts in addressing rising operational costs and enhancing efficiency in the banking industry. This new movement, or development rather, marks the first adjustment since 2019, when withdrawal fees were reduced from 65 naira to 35 naira. The Apex Bank said for off-site automated teller machines, that is, those ATMs at shopping malls, eateries and other public places, a surcharge of not more than 500 naira per every 20,000 naira will apply, in addition to the statutory 100 naira fee for withdrawals by customers of other banks' ATMs. For international withdrawals using debit or credit cards, the CBN said banks and financial institutions are now permitted to apply a cost recovery charge equivalent to the exact amount charged by the international acquirer. Well, joining me to talk more about this and its implication on businesses and, of course, Nigerians is the Managing Director and Chief Business Officer of Optimus by Afri Invest, Mr. Ayodeji Ebo. It's good to have you join us on the program.
Yeah, good afternoon. Great to be here.
Well, this is something that, of course, is about our money that we stored in the banks. And within 2 months for the year 2025, the federal government has increased not just now the ATM charges, now the telecommunications tariff has also increased, port charges has also increased. But first, let me get your reaction to this new directive by the CBN saying that we'll have to pay more on our ATM charges.
Okay, thanks. I think this is now also coming as a surprise, given the underlying factor. So you would see when you look at the circular that states as a result of for efficiency, for effectiveness, you know, for a while now, the CBN has been trying to persuade banks and to ensure that the ATMs are functional, so to ensure that there's ease of distribution of cash within the economy. Yeah, so this is coming. So this is for, they call it I would say, on us and not, I think I'm trying to use the word that they use. If it's not, if we are withdrawing from a third party bank, then that free 3 withdrawals that you enjoyed before, now you have to now pay for it. So you will see that when you look at the cost of running or having an ATM, it's you need to run you see AC throughout the night to keep it powered. You need to keep it on. Most of them are also using inverters. So the underlying factor where all these costs is coming from, if we trace it back, is the devaluation of the naira, which impacted on the cost of diesel, impacted on cost of services, cost of items. So that's where the basis is coming from. So any services or products that is tied to that would definitely be reviewed upwards for that business to be sustained. So unfortunately, Nigerians would also have to, is going to have to the pressure of the cost of living, because it would also be passed to the final consumer. So the average market person, woman or man, that would, when you want to withdraw cash to pay for item, because we still run a very strong, huge cash economy. So you want to withdraw cash to pay, you will need to also pay for those that charges. But I think that with I can't recall the last time I went to the ATM, for instance. The POS will now there will be more demand for the POS, because for some, that 100 naira that they try to avoid before now will now have to be, if you don't have, if your bank is not within the location where you are, So you may as well just use the POS and
Well,
just pay for the charges. So there will be more demand on the POS.
there will be more demand for the POS, but right now the POS charges is even higher than what we had before. So if you're getting 5,000 naira, you're paying 200 naira. If you're getting 10,000 naira, you're paying 300 naira already at the POS from the POS vendors. That's where you want to withdraw cash. But looking at this increment coming from the banks, some would say that this might become a challenge to operators of POS who seem to have found a means of, of livelihood in charging Nigerians to get cash.
No, but yes, but when you look at it, what the average POS person or operator, the POS operator rather, it's entitled, if you withdraw that like 60,000 naira in a day, that's not sufficient to survive on that business. So definitely they've devised very ingenious ways that they've partnered with businesses that receive cash, and they're able to take cash from them at a reasonable rate, reasonable charges that they sell or use to serve, if we put it that way, their own customers. So we just see that system will continue. Nigerian cost of POS, yes, have been more expensive, but also depends on the location where you are, and also vary on the operator. Yes, there's a standard fee. This, you will know that this era, the unfortunate thing is that it's just cost. So the cost of living, cost of doing business, everything going up, which will suppress the standard of living. Because when you look at disposable income, the frequency of the withdrawals that even some people do in a day, it runs into, when you look at it in a month, thousands of naira that should have been used for more productive things will now be used for charges. But we need to also balance it from the operator. The last time this was reviewed was in
2019.
In 2020 rather. And that's almost 4 years ago. What was the exchange rate then? What was the cost of diesel? What was the average income rates as at that period? So it's really a tough time for businesses, also tough time for the customers. But when you look at it from a business perspective now, for sustainability of that business, you see the offsite or the cost of setting up the offsite. If we look at the costs as at 2020 and the cost now, it would have quadrupled because of there will be FX element on all the things they will need to construct and have a functional ATM.
Some persons will say, why put my money in the bank? Why don't I just create one piggy bank in my house and just put money in there if the banks are going to be charging all of this, taking all of this cost off of my money? But I know that you said the banks have identified, just before I continue, I know that you said that the banks have identified operational challenges as, of course, one of the reasons behind this directive. Right? So some persons will say it's like the banks are trying to generate revenue, or can't they think of other ways to generate revenue other than the ATM charges?
Okay, thanks. The way I would see it is, first of all, what we would see is that there will be more adoption of online transactions. Yeah, I know that it will just improve, because rather than with me withdrawing to pay cash, you may rather just
transfer.
At least do transfer and just pay. There's still also charges for transfer, but
35 naira.
It's like half of what you pay when you are when you are going to withdraw from ATM. I think the highest maximum is 53 naira. So we'll see more adoption, which is also one of the objectives of the CBN. Also, in looking at it from the part of competition, so banks now would want to would say customers would like to get ATMs of banks that are closer to them, so that you don't come and you don't want to incur costs. So if bank A is within the area where I easily have access to, so it makes more sense for me to open an account with that bank and get the ATM for that bank, so that I don't need to incur costs. So there will also now be a bit of competition within the banks. We are hoping that this would even, it will make the ATM more functional, and because so that, most times it doesn't dispense cash because most people have to resort to POS. So we're hoping that if that would encourage that, so we would see more people porting from one bank or activating their account in banks that are closer to them to reduce the charges. So it's really a very tough times, and Nigerians also have to be ingenious to see how, because all these costs add up. So you need to see the best way uh, to think strategically on how to minimize some of these costs that continue to come up in form of tariff, in form of taxes, in form of charges that we continue to see.
It's I sometimes when I get those alerts, those 10 naira, 25 naira, 35 naira alerts just for a single transfer, I'm like, gosh, my money is going, my money is dripping away little by little. But some, some will say that maybe this could have been addressed, or would this address the issue of non-availability of cash at most ATM machines? Because just like you said, that banks now would, you know, make money more available at the ATM machines. Would that really solve it? Because we, of course, you know, there are rumors that the POS vendors would have withdrawn all of the money, and then when customers go to the ATM machine, the ATMs, they cannot get cash to withdraw. They now have to fall back to the POS vendors. But do you think this will really, you know, be cost effective if the banks are trying to cut down, sort out the operational costs that they're trying to sort out, the cost for maintaining the ATMs, and then also having people come to the ATMs more to get cash? Do you think, I don't know, does it really balance up?
I think that it would improve it. I'm not going to, it's not the silver bullet for solving that problem. It will improve it a bit because as a business person, if you've been running and the ATM as a business, if it's been running at a loss, but now that you think that you're able to generate something to make, whether it's to break even or at least make a little bit of profit, you may also be encouraged to begin to see how do you want to make it active. If you supply enough cash, even the POS will not be able to, the POS operators won't be able to drain all the cash. If you supply a lot, that's, you continue to feed the ATM with cash, and it won't, because when the quantum of cash required on a daily basis will not increase, because if you know that there's cash available in the ATM, you may not need to also patronize the POS. So once there's a little bit of a reduction in the demand for the cash at the POS, they will also reduce the amount of cash they will also be withdrawing from the ATM due to the reduction in demand from their own end. So it's really going to improve it, but it will not totally solve the problem, because the banks will look at, if I'm able to make more money from from interest income, high treasury bills, able to make more money from loans. These parts of the business, because of the regulations, if I'm not going to make as much, I may not need to invest as much within that particular ATM business, sub-business of the bank.
As we move closer to the next MPC meeting, right, which, you know, is to hold in the coming week, what are your expectations and considerations you think the committee would bring to the table?
Okay, thanks. I think part of what the MPC is also waiting for is to see at what level the inflation rate, you know, it's the rebased inflation that we're expecting. So it's really going to determine the direction. But I feel that the MPC may want to hold for now and to see how the inflation rates, maybe on a month-on-month basis, to see how things pan out as progress before they may want to begin to taper or reduce the interest rates. We know there major discussion will also be around the FX. Yes, there's been stability since the introduction of the Bloomberg B-match, and that would also be one of the positives that will be celebrated or highlighted even by the MPC, that stability within the FX or appreciation within that FX, and to see what else can they do to, if it doesn't appreciate much, can it at least remain stable and provide a bit of medium to long-term clarity around that's forward guidance around direction of the FX. So I know there will also be emphasis on how government coordination, because that is also very key with the fiscal authorities to ensure that once there's also coordination, better coordination, then economic growth can also be achieved to a large extent.
Well, we're all watching closely to see how POS operators, will now be kings, and banks will also, of course, will now be kings controlling our money, how they will respond to the revised charges, the ATM charges. Thank you so much for speaking to us. So we've been talking with the Managing Director and Chief Business Officer of Optimus by AfriInvest, Mr. Ayodeji Ebo. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Always my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Well, still to come on the show, we'll shift our focus to the aviation sector. Nigeria signs amended BASA agreement with United Arab Emirates amid other issues in the aviation sector. Aviation analyst Mr. Wale Shadari will join me on the show to continue the conversation right after this break. Stay with us.